Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Peter Barber here. I'm a professional opera singer, host of the podcast Vocal Arts, and a member of the Bass Gang. Today, for the first time ever, we're going to be checking out Ren doing, I guess, his official music video for Money Game Part 3. This is only the second video I've ever done for Ren, and I have not done Money Game Part 1 and 2. So at the end, if you'd like me to go back and analyze those and watch them for the first time, let me know in the comments. This is a reaction and analysis, so I will be pausing primarily to talk about vocal technique, which is really interesting with Ren because he does a lot of very cool things with his voice. Guys, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's get into it. Okay, first of all, we're in A minor. Should have known by watching his hands on the piano there. Is this Ren playing the piano? Is he like super technically proficient at piano? Because that is awesome. I already respect him so much as an artist, and that would for sure elevate my respect for him. God damn, that was some serious playing. We won't go back and watch the whole thing as this is a 9.5-minute video, but mad respect. Also, if that is Ren and he is doing it without seeing, I don't know if he can see through that, or the player can see through that. That is another level of just mastery of the craft. So respect all over the place already. And the camera work too. Dope. Like this. What? What's up? Give me that. Or maybe Samuel was the guy playing piano? Let me know, guys. What's going on? What's going on here? Also, I'm going to assume, because the last one I watched was done live, recorded live, everything live, and then they, of course, piece it together later. Live, one take. This is what we're dealing with this too. More respect. The respect is through the fucking roof right now. That was him on piano, unless they did some camera work. Fantastic. Okay, this is really the first time I've heard him sing, because the last one I watched, the only one I've seen from him is High Ren, which is a much more speech-based, text-driven, much more like rapping, conversational, right? This is very cool to hear him sing for the first time. So let's just break down what he's doing. Just on this first note, we actually, so naturally you can tell he has a very fast vibrato. Vibrato speed is part natural, part technique, right? You can, if you have too much tension and compression, usually it slows it down. If you have a lot of airflow, it speeds the vibrato up. You have a little bit of control therein, but, oh, sorry, I'm bumping the camera around, aren't I? Here we go. There we go. But everyone has a natural vibrato speed that comes up when vocal technique is in line, and it sounds like Ren has a naturally quite a fast vibrato speed. So it's a relatively, soft produced tone. He's allowing a lot of breath to come through. We're even getting little moments of grit where the vocal folds are experiencing some kind of turbulence. They're not oscillating perfectly normally the whole time. Just adding a little grit in there, whether intentional or not. Grit has a great way, like a perfect phonation just sounds like very smooth, just like whoop. If you have like grit, it creates kind of like that imperfect sound, which I find really adds a lot to particularly emotional pieces or particularly heavy pieces as far as the content is concerned. So we'll see how that plays out here. Also, he's using a lot of sliding from note to note as opposed to ooh. He's like ooh. That's another way of, it kind of lilts and there's like an agony to it, as opposed to just being super accurate, more like a piano or with a quick attack. It like slides from note to note. That can really add a lot of effect to a vocal line. Before he goes on, just notice the difference between those two. So the first one was much ooh, is very slidey, and this second one, faster pitches, right? Ooh, like much more precise in the way that he was approaching these notes. And then he opens up to this ah vowel, and it is very gritty and like, super. There's like a grit in the sound. It hurts, it's like, oh, boy. One more thing, this is do. This, not a full lament bass line, but there's what's called a partial lament bass line happening in the piano.
Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. 1 year old and his first words were mine, gimme. 2 years old he was walking, 3 years old walking quickly. 4 years old he was running round the pavements of his city. 5 years old and...
This is really cool, and also we're hearing the much more towards the bottom. So he starts off in this very high light part of his voice for the singing, and then the rap comes in and it's much more towards the bottom, lower chest range. Let me see if I can get some more calm.
Let me tell you a story about...
Let me tell you a story about down to a low F. Let me tell you a story. He gets about down to a low F, which is actually quite low. That is dipping down into the bass register.
Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. 1 year old and his first words were mine, gimme. 2 years old he was walking, 3 years old walking quickly. 4 years old he was running round the pavements of his city. 5 years old and his daddy told him, listen here son, you gotta learn to be a man. A man, he works for what he wants.
A man. He brought some false fold phonation in there. I just love, goddamn, it's just like his facial expressions and the pronunciation of all the words are just so crisp and they go together so well. He really is so brilliant at delivering the messages that he's delivering. Like truly brilliant. It's fascinating to watch him work.
2 years old he was walking, 3 years old walking quickly. 4 years old he was running round the pavements of his city. 5 years old and his daddy told him, listen here son, you gotta learn to be a man.
Learn to be a man. Learn to be a man. I love the false fold engagement. So your false folds, there's another method of vocal production that you can use. A lot of like metal singers do it. Other types of extended techniques use it. If you go look up like a Peyton Parrish, who sings like a lot of the Viking stuff, he uses a lot of false fold kind of grit. Christian Bale, when he's talking like Batman, uses a lot of false fold. Rachel, where's the trigger? like that kind of thing. False fold engagement. And it makes for it's just a totally different timbral effect that you get, and it really changes the whole vibe. It makes things way more intense. And you can do it naturally. Like the way Ren just used it is a very it's a more natural way. It's like if someone gets really intense, they might accidentally engage their false folds. You can train it to the point where you can sing, you know, on pitch with your false folds, like those metal and like Viking style singers do. But really cool to hear it used. You don't hear it in rap very much, I'll tell you that.
And his daddy told him, listen here son, you gotta learn to be a man. A man, he works for what he wants. 6 years old and he's reading, writing, top of the bunch. And when he's 7, his progression made him student #1.
That little thing he did just reminded me so much of an Eminem line. And I know the two get compared because they're both brilliant lyricists and lyric writers. Oh my God. I know like so much Eminem really well, and it's right on the tip of my tongue what line I'm trying to think of. If you guys know, comment below.
A man, he works for what he wants. 6 years old and he's reading, writing, top of the bunch.
Top of the bunch. What is that line? Oh my gosh. It's on the Eminem show. I'm not going to take too much time to figure it out now. If I remember to, I will figure it out later and put a link to whatever song I'm remembering there. Top of the bunch.
Works for what he wants. 6 years old
It's gonna
and
bug
he's
me.
reading, writing, top of the bunch. And when he's 7, his progression made him student #1. 8 years old and he's praised for unusual grades. 9, his parents paid for private school to nurture the flame. 10, 11, 12, 13, he ascends and ascends. His daddy tells him, son, money is the means to all ends.
So man, and he does this in one take. God damn, it's gonna be so much. It's so much to memorize and pull off. Holy shit, that is dedication. I do clearly see the mic this time, and like last time, I just wasn't sure what was going on. I'm used to videos being lip synced because 99.99% of professional music videos are lip synced, and he does not lip sync them. He really does it here in the studio, which is really cool. So in the last video, I thought the mic was just a prop. I really did. But I see it here now, and that's just confirming that, yeah, he's doing this shit, and it's amazing.
Parents paid for private school to nurture the flame. 10, 11, 12, 13, he ascends and ascends. His daddy tells him, son, money is the means.
Money is. Up to an E4, so now we've got a vocal range. I'm probably the only video on YouTube talking about Ren's vocal range. Low F, F2 to E4 so far. And we got some, again, just some grit, some airiness, some coming through on that high pitch there.
12, 13, he ascends and ascends. His daddy tells him, son, money is the means to all ends. 14, solving complex mathematical equations. At 15, IQ 150, still elevating. 16, he developed.
That's cool. You can feel like the BPM just, it kind of went to double time. It was like da 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 da, and now it's like boom, bah, 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 bah. You can feel it like as soon as this part comes over where the person comes and sits down at the keyboard and he sits on the table, it like doubles. It like the vibe of the song like doubles with a lot of forward momentum.
Is the means to all ends. 14, solving complex mathematical equations. At 15,
that moving piano line.
150, still elevating. 16, he develops complex software code that detects weaknesses in cybersecurity protocols. 17, and he sells his vision, keeping the share. Not yet an adult, but he's practically a millionaire. 18, and his daddy tells him, now you're a man. This world don't give a damn about you, so take all that you can. 19, he turns a profit, stocks and shares, invest.
I like how it breaks down. Again, he uses the man. He uses the false folds on the word man again, talking like his dad. Also, is he talking about himself? I don't know the guy. I don't know his life story. This is fascinating. Fascinating. Everything in the lyrics, too. I won't comment as much about the lyrics. That is something you guys can do. I am more about the music and especially about the voice. That's kind of the main thing here. Anyway, let's keep going.
18, and his daddy tells him, now you're a man. This world don't give a damn I'm about you, so take all that you can. 19, he turns a profit, stocks and shares, invest in product. 20, double down deposits. 21, his income rockets. 22, he
cool, like really fast chromatic piano line. That's what it calls when it goes down a half step at a time. That's called chromaticism. Chromatic scale downward.
I'm about you, so take all that you can. 19, he turns a profit, stocks and shares, invest in product. 20, double down deposits. 21, his income rockets. 22, he learns that truth is just an obstacle to wealth. If you manipulate the data, then the lie will sell itself. 23, a life of luxury, crystal and cocaine. 24, he makes the Forbes list, they're applauding his name. 25, and his daddy tells him, listen here, son, while you're sitting in that palace, that don't mean that you won.
When he does his dad voice, he adds a little bit of space in his larynx. He lowers his larynx and adds a little bit of space in his pharyngeal cavity, essentially, kind of the back of the vocal tract, and it creates a darker sound. So when he's talking like normally, it's kind of like this, and when he talks like his dad, he adds a little bit of space into the sound, a little bit of warmth into the sound. That is precisely, well, a version of that is what we use in opera to create that big warm sound when we're singing. It's creating that space in the pharynx, and he's doing it to put on, you know, the character of the father in this song.
Then the lie will sell itself. 23, a life of luxury, crystal and cocaine. 24, he makes the Forbes list.
He does it right at the start of that verse, really.
25, and his daddy tells him, listen here, son, while you're sitting in that palace, that don't mean that you won. 26, a business shift, he switches business to arms. He's 27, dealing nuclear and shells in Iran. 20.
God, I'm trying. For a second, I thought it sounded a little bit like a. I'm not even going to go into it. I keep trying to think who he's talking about. I should probably know, but I don't.
You're sitting in that palace, that don't mean that you won. 26, a business shift, he switches business to arms. He's 27, dealing nuclear and shells in Iran. 28, inside the Senate, money bought him a seat. He's 29, a role of counsel in the president's suite. Now he's 30, his daddy says you're losing the race. You're just a servant to the king, not even in second place. 31, a big maneuver for his daddy's approval. Moving imports over borders from the exports out of Cuba.
These amazing voices he's doing. It's so character driven. He's doing all these different characters. He's got this one that kind of is like this, and he's got this one that's like much nastier and like more forward. And it just gives so much contrast and adds so much to this storytelling that he's doing.
Counsel in the president's suite, now he's 30. His daddy says you're losing the race. You're just a servant to the king, not even in second place. 31, a big maneuver for his daddy's approval. Moving imports over borders from the exports out of Cuba. 32, moving grams, growing kilos to tons. He's 33, filling warehouses with powder and guns. 34, turf war with nobody to stop it. Blind eye from the po-po inside of his pocket.
Pocket! Again, he's got that space in his throat.
For his daddy's approval, moving imports over borders from the exports out of Cuba. 32, moving grams, growing kilos to tons. He's 33, filling warehouses with powder and guns. 34, turf war with nobody to stop it. Blind eye from the po-po inside of his pocket.
And a lot of it's pretty harsh vocals, like especially when he's doing that kind of voice. It's like a lot of grit and turbulence happening to the voice. It just does a great job of kind of adding intensity to the whole thing.
He gets the call. I'm
35, 5. Maybe down to a low D. 35, 5. 5. Yeah, down to like a D2 or C sharp 2. That is for sure bass territory. That's very cool just to hear him really relax his voice and get all the way down there. Some vocal range on this guy.
35, he gets the call. I'm sorry, son, but it's your father. Had a heart attack, I'm sorry, he's gone. 36, getting pissed off, abusing his product. 37, eyes glazed, disposition demonic. 38, with a prostitute, a moment of passion. Heating up a silver spoon and then chasing the dragon. 39, getting reckless and hungry for power. Daddy's words are still driving him to kill and devour.
I love the kind of jaggedness we get in the piano. The piano sounds like it's drunk, which is really adding to this. Everything's like perfectly put together. It's like his voice doing the storytelling. He's got the bottle. He's got the acting. The camera work is so fitting for everything he's saying. And then the piano part, really, the piano and the voice are just duetting this whole thing, where they're really working together to create the atmosphere for this storytelling.
36, getting pissed off, abusing his product.
It's that drunk-ass piano.
Eyes glazed, disposition demonic. 38, with a prostitute, a moment of passion. Heating up a silver spoon and then chasing the dragon. 39, getting reckless and hungry for power. Daddy's words are still driving him to kill and devour. Makes a move against the cartel, but the strategy's flawed. They retaliate and leave him in a hospital ward. A bullet buried in his vertebra and one in his leg. The doctor sighs and says, I don't think you'll be walking again. Fuck.
God damn, dude.
Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. He was 40 and he cursed the words, mine, mine, gimme. 41 he wasn't walking, 42 not walking quickly, 43 never running round the pavements of his city.
So now we have two cellos, viola, and violin, I believe. Piano's gone, so totally different atmosphere, right? We get kind of this blanket of sound instead of moving parts. Ren has gone back to his much lower, more relaxed setting, which is fitting for the kind of mood of this particular section. It's much more down here, right? It's much more relaxed down here, as opposed to, you know, all the crazy stuff from earlier. So huge contrast as well.
Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. Jimmy.
Again, he's right, like, pushing down towards low C. Such a nerd to point that out. I'm all about vocal nerd shit on this channel. Low C to high E so far.
Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. He was 40 and he cursed the words, mine, mine, gimme. 41 he wasn't walking, 42 not walking quickly, 43 never running round the pavements of his city, 44 inside a
So interesting how those lyrics are really paralleling the initial lyrics about, like, when he's 1, he's, you know, not walking. When he's 2, he's barely walking, walking quickly. And again, I guess the rehab from going into the wheelchair and getting back out, I guess, is what the parallel line is there. But that's just very cool. Very, yeah, amazing lyrics.
Boy named Jimmy. He was 40 and he cursed the words, mine, mine, gimme. 41 he wasn't walking, 42 not walking quickly, 43 never running round the pavements of his city, 44 inside a palace with a mountain of gold. But those riches turn to rubble when perspective evolves. Weighing heavy on his conscience is the value of gold. Lamborghini for a life, trading money for souls. Jimmy followed the code inside the land of the free. Put your hand inside the cookie jar, take more than you need. And his example is exaggerated versions of me. And it's a version of him, and it's a version of she, and it's a version of...
So we really get a lot of the foundation in the cellos and moving parts in the higher stringed instruments. I'm also, at this point in the music video, like, he doesn't look at all nervous about forgetting the words, which is amazing, because it's kind of like the farther you get into a one-take shot, the higher the stakes rise. And he's just fucking delivering the hell out of it. Just every single word.
Jimmy followed the code inside the land of the free. Put your hand inside the cookie jar, take more than you need. And his example is exaggerated versions of me. And it's a version of him. And it's a version of she. And it's a version of you. There's no escaping the blame. The way we live is parasitic. Fuck the money and fame. Cut the music.
Fuck. High A in a kind of heavy grit falsetto mode 2 voice production. High A to low C, almost at 3 octaves. Who's counting though?
It's a version of him, and it's a version of she, and it's a version of you. There's no escaping the blame. The way we live is parasitic. Fuck the money and fame. Cut the music. This isn't entertainment. This is real life. The way we live is lunacy, community, it declines. Hyperpolarized, always fighting, then we divide. Truth is less important than the money that we designed. Money's an invention. Politics from our invention. They all come from people's ideas. Did I mention? Border's an invention. Law and order fuel the tension. It leads to people killing each other. My solution?
What are you going to say? I mean, it's just phenomenal. It's just brilliant writing. Also, if another testament that this is not lip synced is that this kind of shit, this speech stuff with no beat and no like rhythms, like it's rhythmic how he's delivering it, but I mean like formal rhythms, ridiculously hard to lip sync, ridiculously hard. So to do like a perfect lip sync of this part after he's gotten 7 minutes into the song, like just would be a nightmare. It'd be a fucking nightmare to nail it. Let's go back. I want to watch this whole bit again. It's so good. And just the whole storyboarding for the video, just like how the changes happen, you just don't expect and you have no idea what's coming next.
This isn't entertainment. This is real life. The way we live is lunacy, community, it declines. Hyperpolarized, always fighting, then we divide. Truth is less important than the money that we designed. Money's an invention. Politics from our invention. They all come from people's ideas. Did I mention? Border's an invention. Law and order fuel the tension. It leads to people killing each other. My solution? Everything is subject to change. We could build utopias if individuals were taught to use their brains. But if we teach kids in schools to always be sheep and put themselves before the herd if there's more money for me, then there's no future I see where the humans survive. We're parasites inside a petri dish with cannibal minds. Mold will grow upon the surface then consumes till it dies. And our fate could be the same without this story to the wise. "45. Jimmy comes home out of the rain, soaking wet upon a wheelchair, drinking again. He is everything he wants, he is fortune and fame. He's a fortunate fool with an unfortunate fate. With a 45 caliber aimed at his brain. 45 a fitting number cause his age is the same. Here's the words of his father, it's such a damn shame. Then he presses on the trigger of a money game.
God damn, dude. That is heavy and just brilliant. Just brilliant. I need to go back and listen a lot and look at the poetry while I'm listening a lot. I fear for these cellos in the rain. Stringed instruments are very, very expensive. But I'm sure they had it all set up to where they wouldn't have hurt the instruments. But goddamn, I wonder how many takes it took. I mean, especially, you know, if you get this far, he's soaking wet. He's got to dry off, get new clothes. I'm sure just like hours and hours and hours and hours of rehearsal went into it to really nail everything. You have to rehearse like crazy to do a one take like this. Just brilliant. Let's just listen to that one part again, then we'll wrap it up.
45. Jimmy comes home out of the rain, soaking wet upon a wheelchair, drinking again. He is everything.
Well done coordinating the start for the cellos and the tempo that they're going. They're perfectly in sync.
Of the rain, soaking wet upon a wheelchair, drinking again. He is everything he wants, he is fortune and fame. He's a fortunate fool with an unfortunate fate. With a 45 caliber aimed at his brain. 45 a fitting number cause his age is the same. Here's the words of his father, it's such a damn shame. Then he presses on the trigger of a money game.
I gotta sit with this one. I gotta sit with this one for a while. It's just amazing. God, guys. Well, it's probably the only kind of analysis you've seen like this on this video. There's so much to talk about here. I mean, you could spend hours analyzing the lyrics and the poetry. I'm here primarily to analyze the voice, because even though that's probably not the first thing you think of when you're listening to him, you think about probably the message he's delivering or the cinematics of the video or whatever. But there's a lot of really interesting, cool vocal things happening. I hope I was able to point some of those out for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Hope you gained some appreciation for Ren. That's the goal here. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If I'm adding value to your listening experience, please do consider joining my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.